Welcome to Old San Juan, Puerto Rico. We're spending the week about a half an hour east of here, but had to come into town to experience some of the best sights and bites in the oldest city on U.S. soil. So let's start devouring.
We're starting things off by talking about the start of the New World. We're at Plaza del Quinto Centenario. This modern square was built in 1992 to honor the 500-year anniversary of Columbus's first voyage to the Americas.
When Christopher Columbus discovered this place in the year
1493,
he named it San Juan Bautista, and that's the origin of the name today, San Juan.
There's a granite and clay totem. It's about 40 feet tall, and it's meant to symbolize the origin of the New World. Our first bite and sip is right across the street at Cafe Don Ruiz. Just having a little hard time finding it. The building it's in is under construction, so some of the other doors are closed, but we might have found an opening.
And by the way, this entire building is called the Museum of the Americas.
We found it. This coffee shop is 4th generation, and they get their beans hauled from the southern town of Yaco.
and of course, Mom will be the only one that'll taste that disgusting dirt stuff.
Meaning coffee. They've been open since 1962. Their specialty gourmet coffee is hand-picked medium dark roast, but since it's so hot out, I'm gonna get an iced coffee. We also got Mallorca. Mallorca is known as encemadas in every other Spanish-speaking country.
Tastes like eggs. I think it's amazing. It really does taste like a pancake, except a tiny bit raw with a little bit of butter.
So it's a puff pastry bread that's sweet and it's made with lard because it was originally made to help the workers fill up in the morning and last them all day while they're working. And it might do the same for these kids.
Yeah, perfect. Filling up for something that's gonna last all day on the very first stop of a food tour. Our next stop is gonna be an iconic Puerto Rican site, but we have to walk over there and it's very hot here, so we're gonna get the kids something to enjoy along the way. We really should mention that San Juan is the capital of Puerto Rico, but it's made up of multiple areas. You can kind of think of it in terms of like New York City, where you have the different boroughs of Queens and Brooklyn and so on. Each one of those is still part of New York City. And here, we're in Old San Juan, which is essentially an island or a peninsula that comes off the top of the city, right across the water from the downtown area of San Juan. Now here on the northeastern tip of the island is the most famous Puerto Rican fort, and it's called Castillo San Felipe del Morro, or just El Morro for short, which means the nose. In the 1500s, it was attacked relentlessly by the French and the English and the Dutch, unsuccessfully, I should say. One of the most famous attacks was from Sir Francis Drake, the English pirate, and you may recognize that name from our previous episode on the best mojitos in Miami, because El Drake, which was a cocktail made for him, is considered by many to be a precursor to the classic mojito. Okay, so Brooklyn is trying to cool off a little bit in the shade. This didn't used to be me. Like years ago, I was never the guy who would sweat through his shirt, but after we started traveling and hitting places like Belize and Costa Rica and Tara Lipinski's wedding in Miami, like I've really become comfortable with this look. But right here next to me is something called a garita, and these are sentry boxes that were used hundreds of years ago so that the soldiers could keep watch for the enemy through the little slits that are inside. These are such an iconic symbol for Puerto Rico that it's actually featured on their license plates.
Look at that huge one, oh my gosh.
Colt's favorite pastime, we can't go anywhere without him trying to catch some sort of a reptile. Oh, Colt, good luck. Colt, look. They climbed the wall.
This is a pretty popular street. It is where they host some festivals, really bright parades. We're on San Sebastian Street. And that's where our next stop is for a little bite. It's Tortuga.
Locals love this place because it's affordable, good food.
Tourists also love it because of its location on a popular street.
For our first bite, we're gonna have an empanada, but this is a very unique empanada. It's one I've never had. It's a Cuban empanada. So it's like a Cuban sandwich, but stuffed inside of a little pastry shell. Take a look inside. You've got ham and pork and dill pickles, and of course that stone ground mustard. Swiss cheese in there too. I'm gonna get a little extra mustard. First thing I've eaten all day, and a really worthy bite. Probably the best empanada I've ever had.
For the kids, they got blueberry cornbread pudding with cajeta, and I'm gonna try a bite too. I remember the first time I had cajeta, it was with Phil, the first trip we ever took to Mexico when we first started dating. And I had never had it. He said it's gonna change your life, and it was mind-blowing. That's legit. That is really good. That is legit. Oh my gosh, ooh, it's hot. There are walnuts in there. Really good. You know what cajeta's made out of? It's caramel made with goat's milk.
Kind of tastes like banana.
Like banana. Interesting. Done here, but we're gonna stay on the same street. We're actually going next door. We are at La Factoria. It is a bar, and it was named one of the world's top 50 bars because it has fantastic cocktails. And it's really cool because they have this long hallway with different rooms, and there are different bars in each room. Some of the bars are salsa bars, house bar, wine bar. Oh, but there's only one bar that has the wine. None of the other ones have wine. I would say they're most well known for the cocktails because they have an excellent menu. Oh, and have you seen their ice cubes? They are clear and huge, perfect. Now I just can't wait to see what they taste like. When are you gonna try it?
That's delightful. This is a spiced old fashioned. So it's rum. I want to say that old fashioned in the States would typically be a whiskey drink, but this is a very good Don Q Gran Añejo rum, aged, made right here in Puerto Rico. And then it has bitters, it has a dry spice infusion, and it is just fantastic.
Since we're in our bar, we're giving the kids a little break. It's nice and cool in here with the fans, so they get to chill out, relax a little while we have our little cocktail. Ooh, it's yummy, really good. Smooth flavor, spicy, smooth flavor.
Let's go see some more stuff.
This right here is the very rare and extinct kind of cat. It's called the carafe.
That's a good one, carafe. Cat giraffe, carafe. Okay, here comes some of that awesome Puerto Rican rain. But in the 1600s, this was known as the walled city for obvious reasons. But the only way in or out of the city was to go through any of these really big tunnels or gates. And the only one that still stands today is this one, and it's called Puerta San Juan.
Now I love these cobblestone streets. It's a sign that you're in Old San Juan. And these streets have led us to El Jibarito, which is a tourist and locals' favorite alike. Everybody loves this place because of the delicious food. Also, Condé Nast Traveler loves this place. They specialize in Caribbean dishes, and we got a very Caribbean dish. It is a tamale stuffed with plantain and pork with rice and pink beans. Now, I always say you know you're in a tropical place when your food comes with plantains. That's perfect. That's like, I don't know how to describe the texture. It's like kind of that mushy masa that it's made out of, but the plantain makes it a little bit creamy. And the pork, I think there's gonna be a lot more pork when I get deeper into it. Yeah, what'd I tell ya? And then these are the pink beans, and I'm very curious as to why they're called pink beans. They don't look very pink to me. They're tasty. I have to say, all of the bean dishes that we've had in Puerto Rico, all the other places we've been to, the beans are so good. On the resort, at the kiosks, you should check out our crashing episode. I think that's coming next. And here in San Juan, beans in Puerto Rico, excelente. Shades on, we're out the door. Chocobar Cortés, and you guessed it, they've got lots of chocolate. They're the only bean-to-bar chocolate place in the Caribbean, and their chocolate is the key ingredient in a traditional Puerto Rican hot chocolate, so you can only make it with their stuff. Obviously, they have sweet treats on the menu, but they also have savory dishes, and even those make chocolate the star. But we're gonna let the kids get a little something, I'm sure it's gonna be sweet, and we're gonna get a cocktail because those are also chocolate themed. We got a little sample of something. This is their frozen chocolate, and it is good. If you've had a Frosty, it's just like it, the consistency and a little bit of that flavor too, but it's on a different level, a better level.
Is that not so good?
It's good.
I'm getting mad. Like, my sample is gone. It's gone. It just disappeared in 5 seconds.
Brooklyn got the Americana hot chocolate, which is hot chocolate with marshmallows, and we just learned that it comes with a little slice of cheese. It is tradition in Puerto Rico to put a little bit of cheese in the hot chocolate, and it melts in it. And you stir it up, mix it up.
You gonna do it, Brooklyn?
Are you gonna do it? No. Just feisty, that one. As promised, Colt ordered that cold chocolate, which tastes like a Frosty. But his has whipped cream and the chocolate chips on top. It looks super decadent.
Why do I feel like that tastes so much better than the sample?
It has whipped cream in it, maybe.
Do you like them, honey?
Yeah, it tastes good, just not what we really eat.
Not what we're
It tastes different.
Ooh, this martini's very light. Maybe a plastic glass? It's a chocolate martini. It's vodka, Irish cream, chocolate, and it's actually the same frozen chocolate that comes in Colt's drink. And then they shave some white chocolate on top and have this chocolate sugar around the rim. Chocolate overload. Probably the best chocolate martini I've ever had. Unless you count my snowtinis that I make at home. Yeah, you can go south real quick with a chocolate martini by making it too sweet. But this is actually really well balanced.
I'm gonna be the judge of that because I probably had the most of Phil's snowtinis, which I don't consider chocolate martinis. Yeah, that's pretty good. You're right, really well balanced. The only thing for me is the rim. It's like chocolate overload as soon as you put your mouth on it. Otherwise, this part tastes like a Frosty with booze. Nothing wrong with that. Look, we got a chocolate bar with our check. Maybe we'll eat it on our way. Our next stop is iconic, delicious, and a little bit historical.
Oh snap, this guy's gonna let Colt hold his snakes.
How happy you are.
It's like my dream to hold a ball python. I love it. Oh my god. It's a snakey snake. It's a snakey snake. Look at this snakey snake.
Okay,
Hello,
stop.
Brooklyn. Stop here. Oh god! Is it not like heavier than you thought? I'm scared! I'm scared!
Okay.
Oh god, I'm scared! It's just a tail! It's just...
You're done with that one too?
I'm gonna hold it again. So these don't fight. No. Please. This is my dream to have a ball python.
I think that made Colt's day, week, month, maybe year. And it was good timing because now we're at Barrachina, our next stop. We're here for the pina coladas.
So the story goes, in 1963, the bartender here, Don Ramon, invented this cocktail. He did a good job.
For some reason, I expect it to taste different because it's like, oh, this is the original. It's not like what you've had. But it just tastes like an excellent pina colada. And what's not to like? It is coconut, it is pineapple, it's cold. Which I understand why they would need that drink here because it's so
I don't get pina coladas very often, but I always picture them being very white, very frozen, very slushy. And this one seems to be very pineapple forward. A lot of pineapple, not quite as much coconut flavor. It's very good, but it seems more like a proper cocktail than the frozen monstrosities that we see all the time on TV. Brain freeze.
A, B, C, D.
One more stop. Let's hit it.
This beautiful rainforest themed restaurant is Princesa, and we're gonna have a proper dinner.
All right, I wasn't gonna get a cocktail here for this meal, but I saw that they had one with sparkling wine on top, so now I feel obligated because I like cocktails with sparkling wine on top. This one is a rum-based drink with passion fruit and sparkling wine. Very passion fruity. It's delicious.
Oh, that's good.
It looks like an eyeball, huh? Really soft texture inside, very crunchy on the outside.
So crunchy on the outside, it's kind of hard to get through with a fork. Several kinds of fish in there, or two at least, grouper and snapper. Looking at the beginning of the menu here, they talk about this agroecological space that they call Finca La Zafra, and it's their own farm. Sustainable and responsibly grown animals, and then in addition to that, they have Puerto Rican farmers whom they work with here locally, so it's like their version of farm to table. But this is the cool part. Their menu here actually comes from a selection of dishes that are inspired by 6 old and unknown, or very little known, Puerto Rican cookbooks that were published between 1859 and 1950, plus a lot of family recipes in here. So I think the most important thing to do when I get a steak, and I do this almost every single time, is I cut off about half of it to give to Brooklyn. Brooklyn, which side do you want? Ribeye. A little chimichurri on the steak too. It's good.
I got a lamb pinion, which is kind of a take on lasagna because there's multiple layers inside. So let's cut it open and check out these layers. There's mozzarella on top. Oh wow, look at all that lamb. It's wrapped in a pasta-like dough right under the mozzarella cheese. I wonder if it's like a tortilla. That's plantain. That is a really thin layer of plantain, and I think there's another one on the bottom as well. All right, I'm gonna get a bite with a little bit of everything, including this avocado on top, because the avocado in the Caribbean here, number one, the avocados grow naturally about this big, the size of my head, and they're very creamy. They're not tough and hard, and they're also not as bright as you see in the States.
Was it a good recommendation?
It was a great recommendation. I got this recommended by our server, and I really love lamb. Now I'm getting even more lamb flavor. It's really good, and now I recommend this. I love it with the plantain and the creamy avocado, and the cheese is just like a little added texture and flavor to it, but plantain too. There's just so many elements here. We're stuffed, so we're gonna pack some of it up and get out of here, take it home with us.
And we're gonna drive back to the place where we're staying. If you wanna see that episode, be sure to subscribe to our channel, and then you can see all of the really cool stuff that we were doing around our resort in an area outside of San Juan. But thanks for coming along on this ride with us today. We're having a really fun journey traveling the entire world and devouring every city that we come across, so hopefully you'll consider following us. And if this video was fun for you, please hit that like button. Any comments, questions, suggestions for future trips, let us know in the comments below. Thanks. Uh-oh, cold. Hey baby, see this?
What? No hats?
No hats.
Why are you even telling me this? Wah, wah. He says that because there's an episode, I wore a hat in a restaurant, and people give me a really hard time about it.